900 on the dot. My gate decided for all of us. 3 charter buses eased up my gravel lane like they had reservations. Diesel-coughing kids hopping out with floaties, dads hauling coolers, a vinyl banner flapping about some summer extravaganza. And I'm standing barefoot on the porch in Briar Ridge with coffee halfway to my lips, thinking, you've got to be kidding me. At 8:59, my phone showed a single green button at 900. I tapped it. The steel arms slid together. The lock clicked, the keypad. Blinked red, and the whole crowd went quiet like a movie when the power cuts. I took a slow sip and said what nobody wanted to hear. You're on private property. And yeah, I know how that sounds. But this pasture has been Mercer Hollow for 3 generations. My grandfather's fence posts are still in the ground. The barn smells like cedar after rain, and across the county road sits Willow Creek Meadows with porcelain mailboxes, bylaws thicker than a Bible, and a president named Pamela Cartwright, who treats a clipboard like a crown for a year. She'd tried to fold my land into her world with letters, fines, and that syrupy smile that always ends in the word requirement. I said no politely. Then I said no with documents. Then I stopped saying anything at all, because sometimes silence is the sharpest tool you own. 2 weeks before the buses, a glossy flyer showed up under my mailbox. A cartoon map colored my pasture, cheerful yellow, like a brand new community. Park little bus icons, volleyball nets, folding tables. It would have been cute if it wasn't trespass, dressed for church, so I fixed the hinges on the big gate, added an electronic lock, rerouted the cameras to my phone, and called an old friend at County Zoning Owen Park, who told me to keep everything and breathe. If it went sideways, the sheriff would want a clean line of evidence, so when the buses hissed to a stop that morning, I already had a manila folder under my arm. Title survey taxes paid, and that flyer with the lies printed in full color. And I had a kind of calm that comes when you know where your line is, and you're ready to hold it. Pam arrived like a cruise director in a coral pantsuit megaphone. In one hand, clipboard in the other, hair that didn't move an inch. She pointed at the field and sang out, "Welcome everyone today. Willow Creek takes back green space from selfishness." And that last word hit me harder than any fine she'd mailed. Selfishness, like 3 generations of sweat, makes you a villain. You know what I mean? People clapped some. All in some. Unsure kids ran for the grass. Teens strung bunting between my oaks. A couple guys popped open a grill like it was a tailgate. I walked to the gate, boots grinding gravel, nodded to the first driver, who looked absolutely done with his day. And he muttered, "Ma'am told us it's public," and I said, "Then park tight because nobody's leaving until law enforcement sorts this out." He swallowed hard and backed up, and that was the first moment the truth started to seep through the show. Pam leaned close enough that I caught that powdery perfume people wear to city council meetings hissed, "Open this gate." "Cole, you're making a mistake," and I lifted my phone between us like a little mirror. 3 buses of strangers on my land without permission. If anyone made a mistake, it's you. Behind her. I heard the shift parents pulling kids back, someone asking where the bathrooms were, teenagers filming like it was content gold. And I kept the steady voice my dad used when storms rolled in, and the only thing to do was stand your ground. Sheriff's on his way. "Pam, we'll let him call it." And for a minute, we all just stood in the heat of a morning that was about to get real loud. By late morning, the sun turned the pasture into a shimmer, and tempers shrank under it. Folks argued among themselves. Is this illegal? Are we trapped? Who paid for these buses? A guy dragged a picnic bench to the gate like an action hero, and a driver stopped him quick. Break that, and you'll add criminal mischief to your list. Owen sat in the shade near the fence, sleeves rolled tie. Loose, quiet as a witness. My goats had wandered to the far rise and arranged themselves like a judging panel. Then the dust lifted off the county road, and 2 news vans crested the hill. Antennas, telescoped-up lenses. Found us through the bars, and Pam switched to a royal blue dress she must have stashed for TV. Declared I had illegally detained innocent families, and a woman waved the flyer in a reporter's face and said, "She told us this was the new HOA park we paid a fee." And that word fee ran through the crowd like electricity. You could feel the story wobble. I don't love cameras, but I love the truth. And the truth loves a lens when you don't flinch. I walked to the gate, boots planted, showed the folders, kept the voice human and clear. Private property, no permission. The gate is locked for safety until the sheriff does his job. Not a speech. Just the sentence I'd practiced for months in the quiet, and you could watch Pam's orbit lose planets. One board member, the handsome one from the newsletters, stared at his shoes. Owen stepped forward and told the cameras flat, "This land is not, and has never been, within Willow Creek Meadows." We told Ms. Cartwright that, and in the hush after that, you could almost hear Pam's version of the story break, the flash of blue and red. When Sheriff Eli Garner rolled up, felt like thunder releasing. He moved slow, took in buses, banner drooping, melting patience, and he didn't raise his voice, asked one question. "Ma'am, why are all these people on his property?" Pam launched into a paragraph about community rights and safe green spaces and my supposed hostility. He let her finish, then said, "Show me the deed." And when she couldn't, he turned to me. "You got paperwork." I handed the folder. He flipped title survey taxes, did a small nod. "Men do when facts stand up on their own, that'll do." Then he put the legal words where everyone could hear them. Trespass, potential fraud, if fees were collected. Like a mechanic calling out a busted axle. No drama, just diagnosis, pulled me aside and kept it low. "You want to press charges today?" And I looked at fogged bus windows, a crying toddler, a teenage boy trying not to be scared. Pam white-knuckling her clipboard, and I said, "Not today. I want them gone. Let the paper do the rest." He nodded and turned to the crowd. Back on the buses we're leaving in an orderly fashion. The gate opens when I say so. Pam tried one more time. "Don't listen to him, we have rights." But the authority had leaked out of her voice, and all that was left was noise. The moment folks replay later happened at the bars. Pam came up, mascara smudged from heat, and strained hands wrapped around the steel like it might change its mind. "You humiliated me," she whispered. "This isn't over." The cameras caught that angle where pride looks most fragile, and I told her without gloating, "You humiliated yourself." I just locked my gate. Sheriff gave the signal. I tapped my phone. The gate clanked open. Deputies waved buses through one by one. Dust rising like the curtain finally falling. And through the windows, I saw faces, angry, embarrassed as relieved. A little girl pressed her palm to the glass, like a goodbye to a story she didn't sign up for. When the last bus cleared, a deputy guided Pam. Off my property with 2 fingers, and a boundary line you could finally see, and I stood there. Not triumphant, just steady dignity, finding its way back into the room. You think it ends there, but pride hates a scoreboard. Next day, a lawyer letter accused me of unlawful detention. A county notice announced a surprise review of my land use. A drone buzzed the fence like a digital mosquito, and my new attorney Renee Calder told me to document everything and refuse the bait at people who lose face. Try to win a reaction. So I fixed fence posts, moved the goats, waved at slow cars, and let the record do the work. Yeah, that happened then. That board member from the newsletters. Gavin brought me an envelope, and inside were emails that made my coffee go cold. Misused. HOA funds. Instructions to force the narrative by showing up en masse. Plans to smear me online. Renee filed for a safety injunction. The judge granted it. I slid the order into a clear sleeve beside the gate so no one could pretend they didn't see it. A black sedan idled on the road, with Pam behind sunglasses. Two figures with flashlights lingered in the ditch one night and slipped off when a cruiser rolled by. And then the 6 o'clock news ran the money story board. Minutes, numbers. Gavin on camera. Voice shaking, but clear. And the next day, Willow Creek announced Pam was no longer president. For sale signs sprouted in her yard, like the only thing that grows fast in August. I didn't cheer, I just let the rain hit my face until the jaw unclenched. A week later, Owen delivered a thick envelope with raised seals county recognition that my parcel sits outside the HOA forever. Unless I sign. Otherwise, it felt like a recipe for peace. You read it line by line and follow the steps. I tucked it in the drawer with my grandfather's pocket knife. Some things you don't display. You keep close and readies, and when Willow Creek invited me to talk. Not to argue, to listen, I crossed the road for the first time since the buses, and we sat in folding chairs. Wokes looked at their shoes, then told the truth with a humility that finally put the worst of it to bed. We believed something tidy because we wanted it to be true. And we talked about fences and phone calls, and how a park isn't a park. If it's stolen, a kid asked to meet the goats, and I said yes. Supervised, because boundaries aren't weapons. They're invitations with rules. If you're waiting for a firework, I'll give you a quieter ending. That's louder to me. Late summer sky fading my steel gate, glinting in the last strip of sun. My palm on cool metal. The injunction in its sleeve, the title in the drawer, the sheriff's number still in my phone. And somewhere out there, Pam rewriting her story, or pretending this chapter never happened. Maybe she moves, maybe she learns. I can't control that. What I can do is tell you the peace I keep. Not every fight needs a raised voice. Sometimes. The strongest thing is a clean paper trail, a steady call, a lock that speaks at 9:00, and your dignity. When the cameras roll, folks will call you stubborn. Wear it as stubborn. Can be a fence when it needs to be. And now I want to hear from you. Who was right in your book? Where do you draw the line between community and control? Have you seen an HOA or any system push past its borders? Because it could. Did I go too far or not far enough? Drop your story in the comments, your line, your 900 moment, because someone out there is counting on you to hold it steady.